Placentia Yorba School District to come and hear from the candidates so you can make an educated vote.
Wow.
My name is Joe McGuire. I lead the Salt Light Ministry here at Calvary Chapel, East Anaheim. And again, we're super thankful that you're here. We're super thankful for the candidates, not only to Leandra and to Ryan, but all the candidates running. We may not agree with all of them, but clearly they all have a desire to help the kids, to make the community better. And we really view that everybody that is in any type of leadership role is there because the Lord's putting them there, He's calling them to serve the community. So even having that desire is something that we want to recognize and be thankful for. But before we move on, will you guys just bow your head with me and commit our time this evening or this afternoon to the Lord. Father, we do pray. We thank you that we can call you our Father and we can come to you and be accepted through the Lord Jesus Christ. We thank you that you condescend yourself and reveal yourself to us and teach us about yourself through your word, Lord. And but you don't stop there. You allow us to represent you, to be your ambassadors, to be your hands and feet here in this world, Lord. And right here, this works in a couple different ways. We have candidates that are trying to be your hands and feet to the Placentia Yorba School District, and we're so thankful for them. But you also allow us Christians to be your hands and feet and representing you in the way that we vote and standing up for righteousness and voting in a way that aligns with your word and your kingdom principles, Lord. So I pray today you would just be here with us, that your spirit would teach us and inform us on how you want us to do that in a way that would honor you. We give you this time. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so thank you again for being here. I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of what's expected for those in the audience. First off, we want to hold our applauses to the end. We don't want to be shouting stuff out. Unfortunately, we're not going to have the time for the audience to ask questions during the event. The candidates may choose to stay a little bit after, and if you have questions, you could ask them directly, but that is up to them. But we don't want to have any kind of, yelling at the candidates or open remarks as we are going through the forum.
Can we yell at each other?
Can we yell at each other? And the candidates, we do ask that you would act in a civil manner. I trust that you guys will, but and we're trusting, no, but you guys aren't running against each other. You guys are running against people that aren't here. We want to keep the topic about the policies and whatnot. The format of the forum is we're going to have each candidate make an opening statement. We'll get 3 minutes to do that. And then we have a series of questions that I have prepared partly from questions that have been submitted to me that they'll answer. They'll have 2 minutes to do that. And then 3-minute closing statement at the end they'll each be able to make. All candidates were invited to participate. We reached out to the 7 candidates running for the school board of Placentia Yorba Linda. There was one candidate, Nicholas Hedieh. We were unable to find any kind of contact information or anything for him. So obviously he's not here. We weren't able to get a hold of him. It's an interesting campaign strategy, but nonetheless, there was a few candidates that were unable to attend due to scheduling conflicts. A couple were out of state, so I've allowed them to submit a written statement, less than 500 words, and I'll read those to you in a minute. And from the church's perspective, Calvary Chapel, East Anaheim, we don't endorse any candidate. We aren't doing this to help any candidate. We aren't helping a part of any candidate's campaign. We're doing this for you guys. We're doing this so you guys could be informed voters. I know you guys care about the community you live in. You care about the schools that your kids go to. And this is to help you guys make an informed vote. We are impartial from the standpoint of the church here, and we're not trying to favor any candidate whatsoever. Now, in this school board race, there's 3 areas that are up for election. In area 1, we have candidate Nicholas Cardenas. He was the one that we weren't able to get a hold of. Ryan Miller, who is here with us. You guys will get to hear from him. And Tricia Quintero, who is not here with us. Area 2 is also up for election. And there we have the incumbent Marilyn Anderson. And running against her is Maria Lupita Stubbs. In area 3, we have 2 candidates, Leander Blades, who's here with us. You guys are going to get to hear from her. And Misty Jensen, who wanted to be here, but she couldn't. And I have a statement from her that I'll read to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead now and read the statements from the candidates that weren't able to be here. The first candidate is Tricia Quintero. She's running in Area 1 against Nicholas Cardenas and Ryan Miller. Tricia says, "Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for not being there in person. I am out of town visiting my son who attends Purdue University. Thank you for the opportunity to present a statement. I am often asked, why did you decide to run for the school board? My response is simple. Because I care about my community and the students who attend our schools. I want to see our students thrive in a positive, secure, and supportive community. I believe the society's great equalizer is providing access to quality public education. Any student, regardless of their background, has this right. Education is the key that opens the doors of opportunity for all. These opportunities put students on the road to success via 2 or 4-year colleges, trade schools, the military, and other career options. When a student is able to accomplish their goals, it is a win for the whole community. My responsibility as a board trustee will be to ensure PYO USD prepares our students for real-world experiences. Developing academic, critical thinking, organizational, and interpersonal skills are essential. We need to help develop and nurture individual talents and interests. I want to ensure all of our schools, current and former academics, or academic as well as extracurricular programs are funded and provided the tools needed to support all students in a fiscally responsible manner. Another responsibility will be to include parents, students, teachers, and community in decisions that are made at the school board level. We cannot control all decisions that are being made on a higher governmental level, but we can ensure we are doing what is best for our students. I will research all curriculum, programs, policies that are presented through a parent's lens and use my experience as an educator to evaluate effectiveness. I also promise to be an active and involved board member. I have held board and committee positions at PTA, PTSA since 2008, as well as being a youth sports team mom, coach, high school booster, board member, classroom volunteer. I know the time that we as parents take to involve ourselves in our children's activities. I look forward to visiting schools, attending events, and supporting extracurricular activities. I believe board members should be an example of positive citizenship, being respectful, kind, accepting of others. I am willing to listen and gain knowledge from others who may not have my same viewpoints. We can all learn from one another. I believe in respecting and being kind to one another, or to anyone I encounter. I do not speak negatively about anyone to prove who I am. My community knows who I am because they have witnessed my work in leadership roles. I am confident in my abilities and expertise. This is my reputation. I would like to continue as a school board trustee. I know I can help PYL USD thrive and serve all students. If you'd like to learn more about my campaign, please visit QuinteroForPYLUSD.com. I wish you all a wonderful day. So that was Tricia Quintero's statement. Next, we have a statement for Maria Lupita Stubbs. She's running for Area 2. She says, please accept my warmest regards to the team at Salt Lake for organizing this candidate forum, and to all participants and attendees here this afternoon. I regret that I am unable to attend today, but I am grateful for the opportunity to share this message with you. In recent times, a considerable number of Americans, myself included, have come to realize the importance of civic participation at the local level, extending beyond simply voting. As a wife, mother, and engineer, I am running for school board trustee for the Placentia-Yorba Unified School District in Area 2 to prioritize safe schools, academic achievement, and family rights. I have witnessed the positive impact that our current board majority and Superintendent Dr. Alex Chernis have achieved for our students in a short period. I want to support this positive momentum initiated 4 years ago by our PYL USD board president, Leander Blades, who is running for re-election in Area 3. When I say she has fought for every PYL USD student, I mean it. I am also running to protect all children in our district and uphold parental rights. And Area 2 has faced a crisis in leadership under incumbent Anderson. She has gone back on her original 2020 campaign promise to support parental rights and advocate for families. Over time, the incumbent began voting against items, policies, and resolutions she had initially pledged to support. For example, when Superintendent and Board Majority introduced the parental notification policy, Anderson voted no. This common sense policy aimed to foster trust and communication between the district and parents, guardians, enhancing their right to be informed and involved in their child's education to promote positive outcomes. Instead of supporting this policy, Anderson pushed to include California Education Code Section 49602 in fine print at the bottom of the document. This section allows personal information shared by a student 12 years old or older with a counselor, teacher, or staff to remain confidential and not shared with parents and guardians, which entirely undermines the spirit and intent of the district's policy. This kind of secrecy between students and school staff presents significant concerns, especially when paired with existing California laws, such as Family Code 6926, which permits a student age 12 or older to bypass parental notification for certain medical interventions and/or procedures. Over the past year, incumbent Anderson has voted no on parental notification, no on football field lights at El Dorado High School for our student athletes and band members, no on essential math textbooks and curriculum, no on cutting-edge computer science innovation and lab, no on the state-of-art Universal Sports Institute. This is not a voting record of the trustee who puts kids first. If you reside in Area 2 or know someone who does, I humbly ask for your vote. If you reside in Area 2 or know someone who does, I humbly ask for your vote. I guess you didn't say that. I humbly ask for your vote. If you live in Area 1, I ask you to vote for Ryan James Miller. And if you ask, or if you live in Area 3, I urge you to re-elect Leander Blades. So that is a statement from Maria Lupita Stubbs. She's running for Area 2. We have one more statement to read, and this one is from Misty Jansen, and she is running for Area 3 against Leander Blades. Misty Jansen says this: good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to have my words shared here today. While I cannot be with you in person, I am in Wisconsin fulfilling my obligation to the U.S. Marine Corps, attending the 249th Marine Corps birthday ball. I want to extend my sincere appreciation for the importance you place on civic engagement and community discussions about the future of our school districts. I believe that open, honest conversations are critical in building a strong, informed electorate, which is why I've made myself available at several meet and greet events throughout our community over the past several months. These gatherings provide an excellent opportunity for you to meet me face to face, ask questions, and engage in more personal and detailed conversations about the issues that matter to you and your families. I understand that in today's event, the candidates who are supported will be able to speak without the benefit of a rebuttal or open discussion. Without a doubt, much has already been said through this campaign about my positions and character that are categorically untrue. I'm sure my opponent feels the same. While I respect the forum and I deeply appreciate the chance to have a brief statement shared here, I believe it is important for voters to hear both sides of every issue to make the most informed decisions. That's why I encourage you to attend one of my upcoming events where we can connect one-on-one and you can hear more about my vision for our schools, my plans, my commitment to the values that guide us all. You'll have the chance to hear my perspective directly, and I will be available to answer any and all questions you may have. You can also reach out to me or look at my detailed responses to all the important topics applicable to the position of trustee through my website, misd4pylusd.com. Again, thank you for your attention and consideration. I look forward to the opportunity to meet you in person very soon. Semper Fidelis. That's Misty Jensen's statement for the forum today. So we've heard the three statements from those that submitted them who aren't here. Now we're going to give the two candidates that did come an opportunity to make an opening statement. They will have 3 minutes each for their opening statements. So who wants to go first? All right, yeah, you go first. So you can talk from them or you can come up with
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Leandra Blades. I am the president of the Central Orlando School Board. I was elected in November of 2020, and in that race, I ran against my opponent now, Misty Jensen, and also a man named Mike Picosia, and also a woman named Susan Metcalf. I ran on parental rights. I ran to bring curriculum, strong curriculum, like the 4-5 curriculum, back into the classrooms, and remove social justice issues, to remove the noise that's coming in from Sacramento, the political noise, I should say, out of our classrooms, and also to become a student-centered school district. And so I can say, as I sit up here, is that we have accomplished that goal and even more. We have a ban on critical race theory in our school, in our district, which means that teachers are required to teach the district curriculum to our students, and all supplemental curriculum needs to align with our district curriculum. We have in place a parental notification policy, which puts parents in the driver's seat of their children's education and their lives while they're at school. And everyone should know that our parental notification policy does not, it doesn't only apply to certain groups. It applies to all of our students. And so it's, any student that's having any type of issues, it applies to everyone. There's no certain groups that this applies to, like some of the parental notifications that we've seen around us. And that was very important to our board, that all students are created equally or treated equally. We have had declining enrollment of 400 students a year since 2017. And we are losing them to our private schools and charter schools around us, and also local sports academies. So to counter this, to raise our enrollment, as I promised in 2020, we've created a district charter called the Orange County School of Computer Science, and we've also created Universal Sports Institute, which is a program through our home school of Parkview. We've done many, many things. The teachers have received the highest raises since 2020 with our board in place. We have put in multi-year contracts for teachers, so we're not constantly bargaining with the union year after year after year. It's a 2 or 3 year contract. We are now accepting years of service for teachers. So if you have a teacher who is in Irvine or Orange or Tustin, and they really want to come to our school district, in the past, we did not accept their years of service, so they would not be able to come over with, their full pay or their full seniority. And so now they have the opportunity to do so. And we hired 93 teachers this year. And of those 93 teachers, we had, I want to say maybe 15 or 20 of them had 15 to 28 years of service. And so we do have experienced teachers wanting to get into our district. We have raised stipends for coaches so we can get more quality coaches on our sports teams. We've done everything that we've promised that we would do, and we want to continue to do more. We have a superintendent who's extremely student-centered. He works with students. We've been, our test scores, we need to talk about our test scores. Our test scores were dwindling since 2017. Our test scores have now risen this year of 3%, and at some of our school sites, individual school sites, they're rising 8 to 10%. And we attribute that to the 5,000 interventions that we had in our district, which means that we did morning and after-school tutoring free of charge for our students to either get them to grade level or to get them beyond grade level. We've done a lot of these things that have never been done before, and a lot of outside-the-box thinking, but our enrollment is up, our test scores are up, and we are super positive about the future. We want to remain innovative. We want to continue to do outside-the-box thinking to provide opportunities for our students. Because the school district is not about adults. It's, the kids are the client. And that's how we feel. That's how our majority feels right now. You, as parents, the community, the students, we need to be listening to you because you are our client. We've had a lot of talk about, that it feels like we're running this place like a business. Well, in essence, we are, because you are our clients. And so we are here to serve our community, our clients. We have a lot more ideas that we'd like to do. We'd like to do more, some more specialized programs for our students. We'd like to continue to, be innovative and provide more opportunities. And so if I'm reelected in the next, for the next term, I am so excited to see where our district will be able to go. Thank you.
She took my time too, so my 3 minutes is up.
I don't talk about this.
Okay. So I get to speak from experience because this is my first opportunity to run for school board. I will say right out of the gate, from an accomplishment standpoint, I'm incredibly proud of what our school district has done over the last 2 years. I have a daughter that graduated in 2020 from El Dorado, though she did not get her graduation, she did not get a prom, and she did not get her senior year of sports because the teachers union was too busy fighting to keep our kids out of the school and send them back in school. And that's when I became an involved and angry parent around what was happening in our schools. But I'm proud to say that my now sophomore daughter that's at El Dorado is getting a far better opportunity to continue her education, to grow and to become the woman that I believe that God has created her to be. But as a parent, and more so, I'm going to keep this into the context of sitting inside of this church. I got saved here in 2006, and God radically changed my life. And that's the one thing that people have come after me for in this race, is how dare you speak of God and how dare you speak of faith? What does that have to do with anything about being a school board member? And it says it has everything to do with it. Because while I believe and I desire for every single person to come to faith in Jesus, that's not the goal. The goal is for me to use what God has given me to serve every single child that is created in God's image in that school district. They need to be protected. We have a government agency in the California Teachers Union that is coming after our children. And if you don't think that that is happening in this community, you have been asleep for too long. I remember standing on the corner of Imperial Highway and La Palma back in 2008, when we were all rallying as part of this church against Prop 8 as it was on the ballot in California. We weren't fighting against people. We were fighting against an ideology that we believed was bad for the individual and bad for the community. And that's the same thing that I believe I can contribute to the school board. I have 25 years of business experience, and I can definitely help contribute to financial effectiveness and operational efficiency. I want to continue to stand behind all of the efforts that the board has put forth in the specialized programs that are out there. But for the love of God, we need to start fighting for our kids like we never have before. We don't have enough people involved. We don't have parents involved. And that's what I want to be a champion for. I want to be able to go into the community and say, look, your kids deserve the very best education. They deserve to be safe. Their minds deserve to be protected. We don't need them confused over things that we as adults can't even reconcile in our own heads. And that's why I'm running for school board, because I believe They have awakened a giant inside of me. I never thought that I was going to do this. When I was approached, I declined multiple times before I accepted to run. And now that I am in this race, I am absolutely committed. God willing, I win, but win or lose, to affect change in this community for as long as I am here, to ensure our schools are safe places for our children. Physically safe, absolutely, but mentally and emotionally safe too, so they can get what they deserve, which is an education. In the midst of all of the policy issues, Leander said this, it's adults fighting adults. We're arguing with each other over things that we're forgetting about the fact that we're here to serve these children. And so as a parent, but as a board member, I will continue to fight to ensure our kids have the very best possible, because I believe that's what they deserve.
Thank you. Thank you. Leander, you already answered all my questions, so I guess we can just go on. One of the things that you mentioned, though, was that USI, or ISU program, the USI, dyslexic today. And when I was researching the last week, 10 days, that was one of the areas where people are very heated about or have very strong emotions towards, and some of them are misfounded, some maybe not. There's some confusion in the community as to what that is. So could you tell us what ISU or USI is, and whether you're for it or against it, and why or why not?
Well, anyone who knows me knows that I'm absolutely 100% for it. USI is our Universal Sports Institute, and it is a program that we have established through our Parkview homeschool program. And when I was talking about the students leaving our district, it was, like I said, in 2017 and on, it was 400 students a year. And so we started to really research what was happening, what were we offering. And so we had a couple teachers who had some middle school age kids. They came to us and they said, we really need to have something to compete with other districts or other English sports academies, because what's happening is middle school kids are leaving for these expensive sports academies throughout Orange County. They're enrolled into a homeschool program, but then during the day, they're able to go and they're able to train with trainers. And then what was happening, we found too, was we had some of our private schools, like Orange Lutheran, Modern Day, Servite, they started to go to sports academies and start to talk to the athletes and say, hey, why don't you come over here to Modern Day or Servite or Luke? So we were losing a lot of our quality athletes over here. And so the teachers told us, we are going to leave. We are going to go to these sports academies because there's a better opportunity there. However, what these, they were paying $10,000 to $20,000. So I talked to Dr. Chermis about it, and we started stalking these sports academies and learning information about that. And so what we found was that we had the means and we had the tools to do the same thing in our district, because we already have a homeschool program called Parkview. So what we did is we looked into what would it take to have some type of a sports institute here in our district. And so we hit it head on, because we knew we were going to have 10 or 15 just in this year, 24 to 25, leaving for a sports academy. So we said, okay, we need to get in front of this, because the more students we lose, that's teachers who lose jobs. And so that was another thing we're working for, not only retaining our students, but also keeping teaching positions, keeping our staff and being able to keep people employed. So we opened the Universal Sports Institute, and we have about, I think right now, about 100, maybe 110. I don't know what the final numbers were, but they have signed up for a Parkview homeschool system, and they have the opportunity during the day to go train with our trainers, whether it be for their sport specific, or if it's speed, agility, weights, whatever it is they like. And then also too, what we've done is we've opened it up to our middle school and our high school athletes. And so from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the mornings, for free, our high school and middle school athletes are able to go and also utilize these special trainers for free as well. There's one that starts at, I think, 6 or 6:10, and it goes to 7. The next round goes from 7:10 to 8 o'clock. So these kids can go in for school, they can get their training done, and then they can go about their day. We also have opened it up to, we have a trainer called EC Adaptive, and he works with our special education students. So he goes physically with his dog, Winchester, to Venture Academy, and he will give, stretching, weights, training to our special education students. And also too, at our new district charter called Orange County School of Computer Science, they are also utilizing the Universal Sports Institute, their weight room, and also their agility sessions. That gives them a little bit of a different, different than PE. They're not just running a mile on the field anymore. They're able to get in there and they're able to utilize the equipment as well. So it's a well-rounded program. It costs $1.2 million. It does not cost 3.6, 3.8, or $5 million. It costs us $1.2 million. And so you'll see teachers union signs on corners that say $3 million for a specialized gym. The sign should say, no, $1.2 million for a special gym to provide training and a specialized program to our students. And so in closing, my question has always been, we have specialized programs. We have culinary, we have manufacturing, we have a medical services academy, we have law, law programs over in El Dorado. We have all kinds of these specialized programs. And so why is it not okay to give our athletes a specialized program? So it's either we have to start looking at this. We have to be able to give specialized programs to all or to none. But why is it okay for only certain groups to have a specialized program, but not for our athletes?
I'm just going to share something a little bit different because I think Leandra well encompassed everything again because she was there. She was part of creating the program and executing it. I think this is evidence of a bigger problem that we have that we need to ensure that we're understanding as taxpayers, whether you have children in the district or not, or parents in which you have children in the district. We're infighting and arguing again. You said you did your research, and here's this 1.4 to 0.2 to 0.4% of an entire $350 million school budget in a line item that the city or the community is in quote unquote uproar over. It's probably a microcosm. Instead of being more financially responsible for the entire $350 million. And so that's my concern, is we're making mountains out of molehills that, again, we should be celebrating. In fact, actually, she didn't even speak to the fact that what's coming eventually, and I'm just foretelling what I know is coming, is underprivileged children in our community, in our school districts that can't afford a hitting coach, a pitching coach, a fielding coach, a strength and agility coach, will have the opportunity to get the same training when we're talking about trying to create equality, not equity, but equality. This is the way we do it, by providing something that has broad scope opportunity for everyone. So that's also there. But again, why are we having such a contentious challenge over, let's pretend, and it's not, let's pretend it was $3 million, less than 1% of the budget. What about the other $349 million that we're spending? Nobody knows what we're paying teachers and administrators and where waste is going, and nobody seems to care. I don't want to say that. I want to be careful about that. Not that nobody cares. It's that the community does not seem to have the same contention with that larger number than something so small. So that's where my challenge has been from the outside as a parent looking in, is like, if we're going to fine-tooth comb this, let's look at everything, not just one thing.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, if you guys had carte blanche for one day, there was school board convents or teachers union to deal with or anything like that, and you could change one thing about the Placentia River Linda School District, and it would permanently change, what would you change?
No, I want to know this one.
What could I permanently change?
You could permanently change it, it's set in stone.
Okay, I'm shutting down. I would love to see, I don't know how we do this, but again, I mean, we're wiping the genie in a bottle here. I would love to see more open forum community conversation on a consistent basis in our district. Because right now, the traditional forum by which information is communicated is two ways. But it's not a two-way, it's two ways. You go to a board meeting and you listen to the superintendent and the board share updates, ideas, policies, and then you have a community that gets to, in an unfiltered manner, speak from their end, and there's no response. I would love to see a consistent town hall space that is created for the teachers, for the parents, for anybody in the district to be able to come together and have a conversation. But because I'm dreaming, this would happen in a civilized manner. And I think that's the challenge that we face, is we don't have the opportunity to discuss these things in a civilized manner because we see things so differently. So if we're dreaming, that's what I'm dreaming.
So I still fit here, and I go, what would we do? But I guess one issue I find, if there was going to be two things. The latest issue during this election year has been the USI, but a lot of that has come out, has been about parents and the funding that they still have to give to sports programs. You know, your kid belongs to a sports program, you have to pay X amount of dollars. And you know, a lot of parents can't afford that. My thing would be is I would try to find money or funding or do something where the sports and the arts and all of these programs are magically funded, so parents don't have to pay these donations, and so all kids feel like they can do whatever they want, be involved in whatever they would like. You know, just to state them, you know, just what we get from the state, you know, we're very, you know, you have to, you know, pay different things, and the money goes, you know, to different places. But I would like to see the money going more into the kids. I would like to have a magic pot of money that says, you know what, the sky is the limit. You know, you can go, you do the program, you do what it is that you want to do, and here's the funding. And it doesn't matter where, you know, where you are in life, where, you know, what your parents do for a living, where you live, you will have the opportunity, you know, to do whatever you like. And I think that the start of that is USI, because it is free to our community, it is free to kids. And so, like, what next can we do? Like, what's our next brainstorm? What's our next model that we can do that we can now? You know, is it the arts? You know, is it being able to have kids, you know, you don't have to pay a $200 or $400 violin to be in a music program. Or, you know, like, you can go to performing arts. You don't have to pay for special lessons or special programs outside. Like, here it is for you. Have at it. That's what I would like to see.
As conservative Christians, one thing that we hear on the news over and over, and it causes a lot of fear and panic in that, is the sexualization of kids in schools. Some of the transgender stuff and whatnot. And my question for you is there any evidence that this stuff is happening in the Placentia Yorba School District? And if so, could you tell us about that and what you would do to stop that?
So I will say that this is a hot topic, and it wouldn't be a hot topic if it wasn't happening. We've seen it on the news. We had a couple of parents stand up in board meetings and talk about what has happened from, you know, to their children in our school district. We've had a letter read about a teacher who was telling the child to wear chest binders and, you know, writing letters, private letters to them, saying that they were the trusted adult. And so we have had those instances, and it is public knowledge now, so I will share that one instance. But we are, you know, it is a battle. I'm not saying every teacher is trying to do it, but there are a couple that we've had reports about, few and far between. And I think if you look at the California Teachers Association website, you'll see what they're trying to promote into the classroom. Everyone should look at the website and see the social justice and the gender ideology and how you could bring this into the classroom. There's actual worksheets for that. So I think it's knowledge is power. The parental notification policy was really designed to ensure that all parents of all kids are notified of things that are happening in their classroom. If your child is, missing 2 weeks of homework, we don't send them to a mental health counselor right away. We make a phone call to the parents and say, is everything okay? If the child seems depressed, do we call the parents first and ask the parents? It's things like that. It's kind of common sense thing that I think we've lost in these past few years, or maybe in the past 10 years. Whereas, like, I knew that when I was in high school, if a teacher thought there was an issue, they had a parent-teacher conference, or they called home to the parent and they talked. And sometimes you had no idea as a student that they made that phone call home. But I think that the communication has been lost over the last few years between parents, between teachers, and between our school district. And that's what the parental notification policy was put in place to have. So we can maybe not have open forums, but we can have open communication between our parents and the students and the teachers. And, facilitate that trust, because I do think that after what we've seen on the news, parents have lost that trust. And, do we want to have parents just keep pulling their kids and putting them in charter or private schools because their trust is greater with them? Or do we want to earn that trust back and say, you know what, no, we're not going to elect teachers to advise your child of, wearing some type of medical device, or, advise, your child of these things that are actually medical procedures. And so I think that's where we really need to strive is, we have excellent teachers. We shouldn't be letting like 0.5% of teachers, that have maybe had these issues dictate all of our teachers. And I do think a lot of our teachers really want to have a trust and the relationship with the students and the parents. And so I think that that's one thing is we need to gain the trust back with everyone, and to have these open conversations and like really work on the relationship issue, because what are we here for? We're here for the students. Teachers aren't here to get rich. Us as board members, we're not here, definitely not here, getting rich or having new power trips. We're here to serve our community. That's what we're trying to do. And so if serving the community is opening the trust back up and having these open conversations and doing better things for our children, then that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I think it's also really telling of the work that our current board majority has done, because as we all know, this has been a hyper-accelerated issue over the last couple of years. 10 years ago, we were not having these discussions because they really weren't present, except very few and far between. So they've done a fantastic job, particularly over the last 2 years, of preventing a lot of this, of what has happened to happen. Because of policies that have put it in place, one-to-one conversations that they've had with administrators and parents and some of the other things. But I do want to also offer you something that you need to consider is as well as I do that once the door gets cracked open, it is never closed again. And I have 2 specific issues that are public information-ish that I'm going to share. And I'm doing this, I'm not on the board. I'm representing myself as a parent and somebody that seeks to continue serving this community. In Fullerton Union School District right now, if you go into an elementary school bathroom, in the boys' bathrooms, they have vending machines for tampons that are stocked with them. That is absurd and should never, ever happen in any boys' bathroom, particularly in an elementary school bathroom. My friend's 8-year-old came home and wanted to know why his mommy's products were in his bathroom. That's one issue. That's in a neighboring district. In Orange Unified School District right now, they're preparing for outdoor ed that every 6th grader gets the opportunity to attend. And parents, by accident, found out that there is a boy that is signed up to go to outdoor ed with the girls because he thinks he is a girl, and he's going to be bunking alongside girls in those bunks. And they are not, at this point, committed to communicating that to the parents. And as a matter of fact, they're threatening lawsuits against the parents for outing that child. Now, there is a lot of complexity involved with something like that. And we cannot put that on the school, on the district specifically, right? This is very complex, but this is what I'm talking about when I say we cannot crack this door. That's why parental notification policies That's why we need to continue to advocate for the things that we are in our district. And if we lose this conservative majority on our board, these things will become.
Thank you. The next question is this: what do you think the current school board is doing really well? I'm sure you're really eager to answer that, Leander. But the second part, I'm sure you're not so eager to answer. What do you think that you guys could be doing better with aren't doing so well at this current time?
Sure. Do you want to build you up to tear it down? No, I said this earlier. I'm so grateful for the last 2 years, specifically in the turn we've seen, because 2 years ago, as we were considering my youngest daughter entering high school, we were considering putting her into private school. My wife is not going to homeschool her, but we were considering that as an alternative because of vaccine mandates that we weren't 100% sure as to what the state was going to do and many other things. So I am so grateful that our board has protected the children in that way. I'm also so grateful that, again, the mass majority of our teachers are doing a phenomenal job with our kids to bring them back up to pre-COVID levels in terms of their education, something that we should all be fighting to do. So that's what I'm most proud of. And as a matter of fact, I will say this too, is I'm proud overall of the way that our superintendent and our board majority have handled themselves in a climate that has been horrifically nasty to them. For anybody to hear the things that they have heard about themselves in outright lies and misinformation, it's not easy to withstand somebody accusing you of things that you know to not be true. And so to carry themselves, and at times I'm sure that they didn't love every single thing they said or did, but they've done such a phenomenal job about continuing to fight for the kids in the midst of taking those kinds of attacks and accusations. So thank you for that. I'll say that to you up here in front of everybody. I would say on the other side, I think that, I don't think necessarily it's what they're not doing well. I see the biggest opportunity for growth to be in community involvement. I do think that they are doing a great job of communication, but how many people in here have a child in any school district in the area around here? Just raise your hand real quick. How many people get an update on a weekly basis from the superintendent of the school that you read thoroughly? Like a quarter of you that raised your hand and said you have a child in the district. Now, that's a limitation of us getting 1 million emails and not being on social media. And so we're gonna have to get more creative. But I would say that's one of the best opportunities we have to ensure that parents are in the know at all times. And obviously we can't control what they read or they see, but I think that's the one area that I would love to see grow, is just continued open communication and finding other ways to do that.
Thank you. So we've done a lot of good things and I highlighted them. We have our enrollment is increasing, our test scores are increasing, interventions for students have obviously increased. In fact, we just completed our first cycle of our intervention with our kids. I've already highlighted a lot of what we've done. And so we've done a lot of good things right. And I think that being student-centered, like this is the example that we've given, to the communities around us, because everything that we've done as a board has been about the students. But we've also been about our employees as well, giving them raises and realizing that, to keep quality teachers and administrators, we need to be paying them. Do I think what we're at that place? Absolutely not. Our teachers and our administrators, they need to be paid more. They shouldn't be making, $10,000 less than our teachers in Orange Unified or, our administrators in Irvine. And so, do I think we have a little ways to go there? Yeah. And obviously we have some budget, issues that would need to be addressed, in order to do so. But I think the opportunities, like the district charter at the Orange County School of Computer Science, everyone should realize that we used one-time funds of $1 million to create an innovation lab to make it a computer science school. And so you have to be willing to take some risks to innovate, and you have to be willing to spend that money, the one-time money that ended up being, USI is 0.3% of our budget, I think. The innovation lab was like maybe 0.1 or 0.2, I don't know, where's Todd right now? It's this funding, but what it is we're investing in our students. And so that's what I don't think that people are saying when you have these teacher union signs going up and they're not even the right amounts, or when you have, opponents blasting you for spending this money. Like, we're not spending it on ourselves. We're not spending it on things that, we're spending it on students. And so we spent, 700, we went at Bernardo, New York, before it became a charter school, they were at 550 students in enrollment. This year, they're at 760. And we have kids that are enjoying school finally, and they found, a program that suits them. And hopefully, we can keep expanding it. We have people who want to come in and partner and actually, give us money, give us funding to come alongside and partner with us. So, this is the first, we're kind of out the gate with this, but what can come? But we're spending the money on the students. And so I'm questioning why this noise in the community is questioning, and why the teachers union and why retired teachers are going on social media and questioning spending money on students, spending money on innovation, spending money on the future of the students. So that is one thing that we are doing really well, is we are putting our, our money where our mouth is. Alberta Lights, they didn't have lights for 30 years on their football field, and our board majority was able to put those lights in place. Travis Ranch, they were begging me, these teachers, to do a school visit there. And I went, and they walked me into classrooms and said, look, there's no walls in these rooms. They were this open concept room with 4 teachers with their 4 classes in one large room. And it was noisy, and they were all talking, and I could barely, hear myself think. And I'm sitting here going, how is this equitable to all of these kids and the teachers in this classroom? And the one question I asked is, where is your union? This is a working condition. And they just kind of shrugged. For 30 years, they didn't get the walls. But we were able to get them the walls because we do what's good for students. And so that's my thing, that's what I always have said, is we do what is right for students. And while the teachers union will tell you something different, we do what's right for the teachers too, because we have promoted raises, we've asked for raises for administrators, for teachers, for everybody. Our special education aides, we are trying to move more to full-time aides instead of having tons of part-time aides, because we realize people want to be employed full-time with benefits. They don't want to have a bunch of part-time jobs. Nobody wants to have 2, 3, 4 jobs. They'd like to have one job. So we've been doing things like that. And the bad things that we've done, I would say, along the lines of communication, I'm very much out there. You go find me on social media. If somebody's talking a little bit, I can go in there and I'll respond with some facts, and I'll respond. And some people don't like that, but how else do we communicate? How else do you get the information out there? Do you let people just attack you, and then if nothing's being said on one side, do people just start to accept that as fact? So I respond. One thing in this whole year, because a lot of this started, we knew it was an election year in February of this past year, when the teachers union had their, membership, or their leadership had a lot of their members coming in and some retired teachers coming in with appeared to be scripts to be read at the podium. We knew the election season had started. I wish back then we had been doing the information out to the community back then when we had misinformation we put at the podium. I wish we would have had facts come out. Not just we were doing a lot of good things and we were talking about that, but having a fact sheet every single week. If the union comes out with a sign that says USI is $3 million, the district comes back and says no, $1.2 million, just like they have. If you have a board member giving false information, saying that there's no Valencia kitchen and funds have been transferred over, just like the other day, no, that's not true. This is what's actually true. And I think that could have alleviated a lot of work for me and a lot of typing on social media and a lot of phone calls. But I think that would have been good for our community. So I think moving forward, having factual information, if we hear noise in the community, we need to respond with facts.
Thank you. You brought up kind of the other big new program in the district, other than the USI, which is the Orange County School of Computer Sciences. And it seems kind of fascinating looking at that, but can you tell us a little bit about that? And maybe what you think that you guys could improve on it, how you could make it better, and how you can make it accessible to more students?
So because of the children or the students leaving for charter schools and private schools, what we were finding is when you ask the question, why are you leaving? They said, my kid doesn't get Common Core math, or we don't like the curriculum that the state's giving. And so you could go get a different curriculum, at charter schools or private schools sometimes. And so what we did notice was at the Orange County Classical Academy, we started comparing scores and say, what are they actually doing over there? What are some of these charter schools doing that we are not offering? And so in their math, they were using Singapore math, which is the math that we all grew up on. And their test scores, their state test scores, were at 87%, whereas ours was only about 67%. So they're beating us in 20 points. So, we're sitting here as a board member and saying, well, why can't we bring that? Well, the state mandates Common Core. Well, how come the charter school is doing Singapore math? Or, you start asking these questions. And so we found that if you do a district charter school that still uses our staff, our teachers, but the curriculum doesn't have to align with the rest of the school district. So you have that option to have a different type of curriculum. So we are offering Singapore math at the district charter. We are offering different types of curriculum, different types of grading. The kids are not behind. I wish, if you go to their website or go to their social medias, you'll see their innovation lab. They're not sitting behind computers. They're coding, there's robots, they're making charcuterie boards for parents, based off of, what they're doing with the computers and the etchings. And in fact, they're doing a holiday gift, a holiday gift fair, with all the things that they're creating in these labs, the metal etchings, all kinds of stuff. But 12% of their curriculum is computer science, but it's all kinds of different things combined. But then they still are. They have, still their core classes as well. And their grading is different. They're not, it's not graded in the same way as like our kids in our other schools. And it's kind of something that is being, I guess it is kind of evidence-based because it is being done at other schools. And they're finding that the way that the grades are being given is they're not giving A's, B's right away. Like you have kind of like a 1 through 10. Where are you right now? Like if your first week of school, if you're not receiving an F per se, you're receiving like a number as to where you are right now here and what your improvement can be. And then the next week you might get a 6, a 7, or, and I think you want to end up being like an 8 or 9 is like really, really good. So talk to Beth Fisher if you want to know more about the grading program, because she's talked about it, but it's, it's just a different type of thing. So she could be a lot more consistent, but it's just offering different opportunities because as we're finding, and people have admitted that public education is failing. And so we have to start going to different methods. Kids learn differently. We don't have, kids don't necessarily learn the best in this traditional setting that we've had where teachers in the front of the room and you have, 30 or 35 students, in there. So we have to start being able to evolve, and we have to start saying, hey, not every kid learns the same. So we need to have opportunities for all of the kids to learn differently. And so that's kind of what the Orange County School of Computer Science does, not only with the grading, but with what they do with classes. They have many electives. And so you have these like different types of electives. You choose PE, you choose, different things that you're interested in. And everyone has access to it. And so it doesn't matter where you are in our district. We accept people from the outside, kids from other districts to transfer in. But if you want to attend the Orange County School of Computer Science, anybody can attend. And it's for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Now, is there any plans for expanding that? And I mean, the concept sounds really fascinating and really cool. Not just expanding it past 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but in any other avenues, besides computer science opening kind of?
So in this computer science realm that they have, like they're doing a lot of stuff with, like they have, announcements that they do, but they have like these soundproof rooms where, you can go in and do some cool like recordings of the video stuff. Their band is going in there and they're actually, making recordings, and the students are learning kind of how to like, actually, I guess that'd be more your thing. Yeah, like to produce these type of things. So it's kind of this just different world. And of course, we would love to expand. And we would love to, to do more. And I think this first year, you kind of sit here and go, okay, this is all the stuff we have to offer. Like, what was the popular thing? Where could we improve on? Like, what do we need more of? What was, is there anything specialized within this that we need to be more focused on? So there's a lot of those questions. And I'm going to tell you, like, props to the principal, Beth Fisher. She has taken on so much hate for doing new concepts. Like, there's different schools around the country that have even done different concepts out of like as a library. Like we have schools that don't necessarily have enclosed libraries with librarians anymore. They do, open shelves in the hallways, and like kids are free to roam and look at books and check books out kind of more on their own. Kind of like our public school, or public libraries anymore. You don't necessarily have to have somebody stamping your books. You go and you scan and you can take your book. So she's been trying innovative ideas like that to be able to utilize her space differently. And we've had people in the community call the fire marshal 4 times on this so-called library, trying to cite fire hazards, fire codes. And they've just been really all over her. And so I just think, we have the right person leading the way, because she is just fearless. She carries on. She's resilient to these attacks. But I'm very proud of her and very proud of the whole staff who worked on her, because, we tried something new again, just like USI. And there was a small little micro fraction in the community who didn't like, the change. And the union didn't like the fact that we were doing a district charter, because they're against all charters. But, like we had to go in and say, okay, we got to do what's best for the students, for the community. And so everyone in that school, teachers, and administrators knew they were going to be attacked for doing this and kind of going against the grain. So I was saying that we have a group of courageous people at OCSCS, a group of people who are student-centered and who are very excited about the new things and opportunities that we're giving to students. And so the fact that we've been talking about expanding is absolutely, I say 100%, something we could do in the future, just because of the determination and the student-centeredness in that school.
One question to kind of piggyback on that. Here at the church, I've done this a little while ago. It's really easy to say, why are they doing that? It doesn't make sense. I would do it this way, and to be very opinionated about that. And then I would find out later on that there was like a whole bunch more information that I didn't know about that was a part of the decision to do that. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Is there any of that information you want to tell us about the USI or the computer science that affects the decisions that you guys made to do that? The kind of enlightenment as to why some of the things are they are. And anything you want to tell us, the challenges or the behind the scenes challenges to implementing new programs like this?
So everyone always has opinions. And obviously at the Universal Sports Institute, people still have opinions, even though it's become extremely successful. We've had a lot of kids, that aren't in the Parkview homeschool program or in the USI program being able to utilize the gym in the morning. And we're working to hopefully be able to add some afternoon sessions for our athletes. And that's, once again, it's so critical, because not everybody can afford personal trainers, club teams even. I mean, if you look at club sports, it's crazy. Like my one son who goes to Yorba High School, water polo club is, $250, $270, just for the practices. But then if you have weekend games, you have to pay those tournament fees on top of it. You could be looking at $500 or $600, a month, and people can't afford it. And so to give them this opportunity to go train a couple days a week with a trainer, like a friend, we were talking about USI at the water polo game the other day, and a friend of mine said she spent $125 an hour for goalie training for her daughter who plays water polo. And, she says it's just crazy. So she's picking up after extra shifts at work and, to do this. And so obviously water polo season is almost over and her daughter's going to graduate, but she's like, I wish I would have had this opportunity for my daughter. I could have sent her there, for this. And as far as,
I think something else, Joe, that you said that's really important, especially when you said in the context of the church. I was a pastor for 8 years, and so I remember what that blue comment card box in the back was like every single Sunday. Everybody always has an opinion about everything, right? Half the room thinks the music is too loud, half thinks it's too quiet. The one thing that always remains, and again, if you attend here, you would know this, is if it comes from Pastor Bob's mouth, you're always going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Because you trust him. Because of his character, his integrity, because of his history and how he's done what he's done. The same thing applies here. We need to look historically at the character of an individual. And so if you're going to vote, and you haven't yet, and you're going to vote for Leandra, whether you know her or not, look historically at the facts in terms of what has been done. Look historically at the programs that have been put into place. Look historically at the scores that are in our district. I mean, to my side, and again, this is getting a little bit off track, but I want to speak specifically to how this matters so much around opinion. I was sharing this with somebody outside. Within 24 hours of announcing that I was running, I was labeled online the white Christian nationalist, which I always think is really funny because God created me white. I am a Christian and I do love this country. I just don't want to associate myself with the negative connotation, but I don't give credence to that. But I've also been called a racist, a misogynist. My wife is Hispanic, by the way, which is super funny. A misogynist, all these things. And so every single time that a community member would say to me, like, are you these things? I said, look, I can tell you anything I want. I said, I want you to look at me historically, because for 46 years, I've never demonstrated or displayed any act that would give credence to what you're accusing me of. And so when it comes to these opinions that we have around decisions that the school board is making, that the schools are making, that we're trying to do, you need to look historically at the facts of the people that are in place and the decisions that they have made and the outcomes that have been produced. Because, even as it relates to politics, for the most part, Democrat or Republican, we both believe that we have the same end goal in mind. We just have different ways about getting there. Right, has been the big challenge. Not on the extremes, but for the most part. The same thing applies here. We're all trying to do our best, we believe, to produce the best outcome possible for our kids. You need to decide for yourself who you believe, based upon their character, their history, and the work that they have done, what they are going to do. And I think that will dispel a lot of opinion if we can start to set our opinions and our feelings aside and start looking at facts. We will start to make decisions in a far different way that I believe will be a lot more effective. Because again, we have so much bias built into us. It's just too hard to look at something and say, I'm not going to be biased at all. I'm just going to look at what's right. It's there. We just need to admit it's there. So let's just look to the facts and make decisions based upon those things. And again, you want to look historically at our district. They made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. I was in the district decades ago. There was mistakes. But over the last 2 years, we've made incredible strides. And we can't deny that. I don't care what side you sit on, that can't be denied. So I think that's the thing we need to be striving for as we're in the community, as we're talking, as we're voting, is let's look historically at what we've seen happen and determine whether or not we want to support that continuing. Which is why I've been aligned to Leandra, to Dr. Chernus, and to Todd Frazier, as well as Sean Gumbel, who I'm running in his seat, because I align with what they have done to this point, and I believe that's what I want to see continue.
And just to also clarify, when we bring these programs forward, like they're for the charter school, the district charter school, we had a public hearing, and the community had the opportunity to get up, and people were able to get up and speak if they were for or against it. And anytime that you do any type of curriculum, anytime you do any of that thing, of those things, it is on display for 30 days. There's no way to hide curriculum for anything. If we're approving books, if we're approving whatever, it is all on display at the district office for everybody to see. So there is the opportunity for the public to be heard. But, you know, I mean, I guess unfortunately for some people, the board's the final decision, and sometimes we vote for it, and they may still be unhappy, but it has been as transparent as the process as possible, especially too when we did the district when we did the district charter. We had to go in the way that you're able to convert a school to a district charter is you have to have 51% of the teachers voting to convert the school. And it was my recollection, if it's correct, I believe we had 30 teachers vote in favor of moving it to the Orange County School of Computer Science and 2 that went against. So we have this overwhelming majority of teachers who are interested in doing this type of project, interested in bringing this type of innovation to students. So then comes forward the public hearing about it, you know, and then comes forward the curriculum review. And every time that they bring it forward, you know, we all know there is public comment at our school board meetings. And people can come and they can email us and they can say what they don't like or do like. So there is this, you know, transparency, and there is, you know, anytime we do any type of curriculum review or any type of curriculum approval, we are like an open book. There's no way that any board member can slip anything into curriculum without the public or without the board members or without the district knowing. Because that's been one thing that we've been accused of, myself and Todd and Sean, of slipping religion into our curriculum. And I've said, well, where is it? And how do I do that? And, you know, there's no answer. It's just these, you know, comments. But the curriculum review and things like this, when we do new things, it's a very, very transparent process. And parents are always able to, community members are always able to have that opportunity to email, to come and make, you know, comments in public, you know, public hearings, or, you know, just in public comments in general.
We have time for one more question, and then you can make your closing remarks. And you might have already answered this, so you don't have to expand on it if you already have. But what do you think is the biggest issue facing the Placentia Yorba Linda School District today?
Misinformation. That's our biggest issue, because when you're doing so many good things for the students and the kids and the teachers, and you have misinformation, it's very sad, and it's you know, obviously done because we're very political. Everything now is political, and so you know, people had asked me, they said, "You guys are doing so many good things. What could anybody possibly say, you know, coming in this election?" And I said, "Oh, they'll find something." And then here it was, you know, it was USI, it was, you know, the computer science school. And one thing that was said to me was, they go, "Leandra, you are making," because Dr. Chernix has been in our district for 18 months. And they said, "You are making moves like, you know, like that have never been done before, and moving at a speed that has never been done." They go, "Why are you doing this in an election year?" And I said, "Because we always should move fast, and we should always do what's right for students. Never will you find me saying, no, you know what, this may be controversial." I knew USI and Orange County School of Computer Science was going to be controversial. I knew the union was against it, so I knew that that would be something that they were going to run an attacks against me in this campaign. But is it good for our students? Is it good for our community? Absolutely. So I will never say, let's put this off for a year or two because I'm coming into an election year. You will never find me doing that because I don't work that way. I work for what's good for the students and what's good for our parents and for our community. And you know what? If for some reason the union and these retired teachers and my opponent's campaign have been able to get to people with the misinformation and lies, then, you know, then that's going to be unfortunate because we've done great things in our district. And it was like, you know, kind of like told to me, hey, they're going to get you for this in your election year. And I said, I don't care because this is great for students. And you will never find me ever playing politics with our students or our community.
It's a great closing statement.
Was that my closing
I
statement?
don't know. So I was going to say this information until I actually want to be super specific. And I know this is being recorded, so boy, oh boy. The California Teachers Association is the biggest problem in our schools in the state of California. And I want to be clear, 94% of the teachers in our district, from what I've heard, are in the union. And so I'm not saying that 94% of our teachers are the problem, or the biggest problem in our district. What I'm saying is that political propaganda machine in Sacramento is the single biggest problem in our schools. And if we get through this election year, we are going to fight them over and over and over again. This is a lifelong fight. But that's why we have to fight. If we push back now, I believe that we can start to turn the tide. They're not going to quit, but we can turn it. They've been gearing up. They've been annihilating her for years. They've been annihilating me for the last 6 months. The most horrific and horrendous things you could ever say about a person have been said. Like disgusting things. It's the union, and they need to be stopped. And we need to figure out a way to detach them. They are holding our children hostage. They are holding our teachers hostage. And they are holding our community hostage from producing far better outcomes and a far better experience from where we really could be.
And can I piggyback on one thing? So I was at a conference and there was an assistant superintendent from another school district there. And we were sitting around, I think we were waiting to go to dinner. And he said to me, he said, "What are you guys doing over there? Is this all rumors?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he says, "Well, the Sports Institute, and you have this district charter school. Like, how are you doing this all?" And I go, "It's super easy. Like, we're just voting it in and we're going." And he says, "No, how is the union allowing you to do this?" And I said, "What are you talking about, the union allowing us to do this? Like, we voted in as a board." He says, "No." He goes, "Our teachers union would never allow us to do any type of programs like this in our district." And I said, "Well, what about your board?" And he says, "Well, the superintendent would absolutely not, because the union says no, she's going to say no." He goes, "And our board is the same." And I said, "Well, there's your problem." I go, "You will never be able to have this type of innovation or opportunity if you continue to allow the union to control what's happening in your school district." So then I did ask him if he would like me to start sending the bus over to his city to pick up the kids, because they were allowing the union to control what programs and what innovative programs were coming to their district. And so we sat there, and a lot of us were like reflecting on that after he got up and left. We weren't talking trash about him. We just said, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like that, this is like, they won't even attempt to bring it to the table because the union will say no because we're so against charters and this type of specialized things. But we have said yes, because we just said, yes, we're going to do a special for kids."
If you guys have a closing statement or one last thing you want to say to those that are here and watching, it would be good time.
Well, I thank everyone for the opportunity to speak in front of you, and for the people watching at home. I think, I have had tried and true leadership for the last 4 years. Obviously, as he has said, and if you're doing something that's not effective, usually you don't get attacked. And so I feel like these attacks on me in the last 4 years, but especially the last 6 months, I feel like I'm absolutely doing something that is right and it's effective, and I happen to be doing it for students. I'm a retired police officer, and obviously I was in a shooting while on duty, protecting myself and my partner and the fire department. And suddenly I've become a murderer. I've had emails being sent out, by retired teachers in certain, groups in the area, we live in North Linda, just saying, she's a murderer, she got away, she got away with it. They don't put in there that I did it in the course of my duties as a police officer. So then I have to start asking, do people really believe this, that are making these accusations against me? Because in 2020, what helped me run was this California Teachers Association did say that domestic terrorists were police officers. That was listed under, on their website. And that's what really kind of, well, there's a few factors that got me to run, but that was one of them. Because I said, why are we doing this? We have so many first responders in our community. We have so many of these people, and this is what they're calling people, our parents, our grandparents, our community members. And so I wanted to change that narrative, on our first responders. But obviously there's been so much. I've just had letters be sent to the houses, of people who have signs in their yards for me, in support of me, like horrific libel. I've actually had to get a libelous attorney after this one, talking about my husband, talking about my children, talking about me, incidents that have never happened. And so why are they attacking me? And, why aren't they attacking other members on the board? Well, I think it's because I am doing what's right for students, I'm doing what's right for the community, and I'm doing a darn good job of it. Because why else are they attacking me like this? I'm now a Christian nationalist, like Ryan here. I've been called this, they've gone after my religion, they've gone after my family, my person, anything that they can. But you know what? I'm not going to back down. And I'm not going to back down from the fight. And I will continue to stand up for our community and our children and for the parents and for all that's right and good. Because you know what? There's a reason that I'm withholding these 4 years of attack, and I'm ready to do 4 more years. And I think it's because God has given me, He's shielded me, and I think He's given me the strength to do so. And I think He's given, things in my life, like who wants to be involved in a shooting? Ever. Whoever wants to take somebody's life? Do they realize the effect that it has on you as you carry on with your life? Have they ever asked that part? It does affect us. It does affect officers who've been involved in shootings. And so when they say these things, do they really know, what they're talking about and the trauma that we experience daily as first responders and the things that we have to see? But I think that maybe incidents like this, happen. Did I ever expect to be called a murderer 10 or 12 years later after my shooting? Absolutely not. But you know what? I'm finding strength from somewhere. And I think it's the prayers, and I think it's the community rallying around me. And so I just want to say, they can say whatever they would like. I will stand in the gap, and I will hold the line for our community and for our students and our parents. And I will I'm not changing my message to parent votes. You can vote for me, who I am, still the same person in 2020 as I'm standing here today. But I thank you for your time, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity in the last 4 years. Even though I've taken a lot of slings and a lot of arrows, I'm doing it for you guys, and I'm doing it for our kids. I'm doing it for our community, and I'm happy to do it again.
Can I ask a question? Can I say something?
You could, at the end, you could ask them questions individually. We're not asking questions at large. We don't have time for that today. But you could ask her a question afterwards.
To both of you?
After this, I'll answer your question.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think what's really cool is I often think it's so many areas of life, the story of Joseph, and Joseph gets to the end of, we'll get to near the end of the book of Genesis, and Joseph's brothers are looking at him in the face, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to take retribution for everything that we did to you. We sold you into slavery, or we sold you into slavery. We knew you were going to end up dying. We actually thought you died, and we didn't care. And Joseph says, I'm not going to do any of that to you, because God says what man means for evil, God means for good. And I think that I don't see myself as Joseph in this story. What I see myself is God using evil and turning it to good. Because you see, sometimes we have to see things get really, really bad before we're willing to step in and do something about it. And I was a sideline parent. I mean, I had a daughter graduate high school before I ever stepped into a board meeting. And then I began to realize just how much evil was existing inside of what I thought was one of the most conservative, protected communities in this country. And it awakened a giant inside of me. And I will turn and I will use every single breath that I have for good, not for myself, because it hasn't felt good. And it will continue to not feel good. Win or lose, it's going to continue to get slung at me and my family. But the good that can be affected in this community by continuing to fight alongside of Andrew, to fight alongside of Alex, to fight alongside of Tom, it is worth it. But it can't just be us. I am begging and pleading for every single vote because, you guys, it will come down to votes. But I'm asking you to get involved, to speak to your community and let them know, your friends, your neighbors, just how important, we're all challenged, or we're all contesting the national election, and we all want to make sure that our guy gets into office, and great, go do that. But I don't think we realize just how important the school board and city councils are to our everyday life. Evil is here. And we are not fighting against flesh and blood for sure, but we are going to use our flesh and blood to fight back by the power of the Holy Spirit to do everything that we can. And so I want to encourage you, if you have not yet, to get out there and vote. For Leandra, if you're on the east side of Yorba Linda. For me, if you're on the west side of Yorba Linda or the east side of Placentia. Or Maria, if you're on the west side of Placentia. We need your support, but we need your voices. We need your active involvement in the community in any way that you can. We need it now more than ever.
I have a couple of questions that weren't addressed, and I know that these are very important.
We don't have the time to do that right now. You could ask them individually.
So everybody else can't hear? How about the pornography in the libraries?
We don't have the time to, that wasn't part of what we're doing. We're supposed to be done by 3:00. I'm sorry. Well, then that's not fair for her question and the next question and the next question. We'll be here all day if we did that. But thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Leandra. I'm going to go ahead and preface. I thank you guys for being here. I'm sorry that, not every question that you guys had could possibly be answered. We did our best to answer it and talk about the issues that we could. But let's give it to the Lord, and I'm sure they'll stick around. If you have questions, you could ask them directly. But Father, we do thank you again that you are God and that we could trust that you're a good God. Your proven character, like Ryan was talking about, is just perfect. Going back over 6,000 years, Lord, you have been faithful. You have been compassionate. You've been merciful. You've showed your power. You've shown your ability to save, your ability to redeem, Lord. And we're so thankful that we can cast our cares upon you in this moment. We know that you founded America for a reason. You have a plan for America. You've put each one of us in the place that we're in America for such a time as this, Lord. We pray that you grant our nation, our state, our city, our school boards repentance, and help us return to you and live in a way that reflects you and your character in this world, Lord. I thank you that you say that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can't comprehend it, can't extinguish it, or pounce on it, put it out, Lord. And so we just ask that your light will shine here on election day, Lord, and going forward, because the lives, families, communities depend on it, Lord. But we pray, first of all, that it would shine in our hearts, that it would change us, so that we could be vessels of your grace to help change those around us. But again, thank you that we live in this time, that we have the ability to cast a vote and to exercise the stewardship that you've given us, Lord. I pray that today would have been educational and would help us do that in a way that would honor you and give our consciences peace. But we do pray. We pray for the candidates, for all of them. We pray for the school. We pray for the community. We take comfort in being able to entrust them to such a good God as you are. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So that will conclude the formal part of the forum. Again, they'll be here if you guys want to ask them questions individually. Thanks for attending.
If you guys want to stay right here, we'll come down and answer questions that you guys have. Does that sound good so everybody can hear?
Yeah, I
Does that
would,
work?
have a question about, I read all the time about pornography, written pornography, not pictures, I think. Well, there's some pictures too. And they're in, especially in high school. And, you know, is anybody doing anything about
Yes.
that?
Yes, we've removed it from our libraries. And the way that we were able to remove it from the libraries was through education code down.
Did remove it?
Yes.
Oh,
The
great
penal
stuff.
code and education code says that you are not allowed to have pornographic material, sexually explicit materials in the libraries. So we worked with our attorney and we removed, I mean, we're not removing every book, you know, but it's just the pornography book. There have been a few that have been removed. But, you know,
I think I'm confused about what pornography is. Is it just pictures?
there's been pictures and there's been sexually explicit things that absolutely say the penal code and education code that aren't allowed to. Was a bit.
Okay. But the section.
You know, section splits into if it falls under the penal code and education code, and if our attorney says it falls under that, then we remove it.
So I was in a school board meeting over in City of Orange, and when they were trying to vote out one of the members,
Yes.
and I asked, well, how about detectives that you guys are using? Could we see them? And she said, the teacher's a teacher. She said, well, these are the books. And I said, well, can we see them? She said, oh, no, we can't show them to you.
That's, no, you
Yeah.
should be able to.
This was last year.
That doesn't happen in our district.
Good. Thank you.
Everything, the curriculum. Let me answer her question. She was first.
First, I want to thank you guys and thank the Lord that we have two Christians. And we need to work towards be an example so that other people on the board will become Christians also. That's what we need in our schools. I have a question because I have 6 grandchildren. And, excuse me. When I asked them and some of their friends, well, what do you want to be? And I don't know yet. You know, one graduated already 2 years ago, very smart. He could have been what they call the baccalaureate, or one of those. He's so smart. And he's working, has 2 jobs, part-time, but he still doesn't know what he wants to be. One of them is a fireman now because my son is a fireman. The other one wanted to be a fireman, but now he wants to be a teacher, which is good. Just a suggestion, the way I grew up, which was another country, I'm from Panama. From first grade, the teachers go around, what do you want to be when you grow up? And several times a year she would do that, but I wanted to be a teacher. When I got to 5th grade and I had to tutor my sister in math, I realized I cannot be a teacher. I had no patience. So then I said, well, I'm going to be a dentist. Got to middle school, 7th grade. My dad had an accident. I saw something that happened in the hospital, and I said, I am going to be a nurse, and I'm going to be better than that nurse. Today, I'm a retired nurse for several years now.
So you want more emphasis on like careers and future careers?
Yes.
Okay. So
From
we're
when-
looking at a program that's done through like the Chamber of Commerce, partnering with like our business people. And
Uh-huh.
it's called the CEO program. And so we are looking at programs like that where the students can come, you know, whether it be middle school, high school, whatever the age group is, and they can go work alongside, whether it's, you know, police officers, firefighters, you know, dentists, doctors, people in our community who will open up their doors and mentor the kids and let them
Yes.
come along and say, okay, like, this is what I do.
From
You know?
elementary, though, it has to be for these kids to start thinking.
So
They
you're
have to
using
start
Career
thinking.
Days, not just high school, that it's very important to do it in elementary as well. So do.
Oh,
more of
yes,
that.
to
Okay.
start in elementary, well, because that's the way, and it wasn't just
Right.
my school, it was all the schools in my country
Right,
did that.
right.
The second thing I wanted to say, you mentioned about transgender and all that garbage that's going on in the school. And I've been a nurse, all nurses, doctors, pharmacists. We taught to love life. So when they're talking about abortion, and this is going on in the middle school and in high school, I just cringe because I have delivered babies. You know, I see what they look like. I've seen when they do amnio, I see the picture. I also have seen what happens when they're trying to do an abortion and inject salt to kill a baby. You know, I think these things should be shown to these kids for them to see what happened. What is this thing? I worked in family planning for 2.5 years, and everything was free. They gave you the pills if you didn't want to have baby. They gave you the condoms. They gave you everything was free. So why is it that they have to think about killing a baby? If you don't want to have a baby, then take pills so you don't have a baby. You know, and like I was telling one of my granddaughter's boyfriends, I said, "You guys are just I use that word." He said, "I said y'all are prostituting your bodies because that's the way you get pregnant." You know, and why is it that there's space in schools that they can be thinking about all this other trash? You know, I know there's a lot of sports. Well, not where I grew up. I know when I was in 10th grade, we had 10 subjects. In 11th grade, we had 12 subjects. In 12th grade, we had 11 subjects. But I graduated from high school with a bachelor in science.
Can I answer
Mhm.
some of that? I think it's important. The reason why we're seeing so much of that being discussed, engaged in school, is not because of the schools. It's because of a lack of parenting in the homes,
Yes.
right? And a disconnect there. So I think that,
And the state,
yeah,
and the
absolutely,
state.
yeah. I mean,
It's mandated by the state.
we
much of it.
want to make sure, this is a question that gets asked a lot. It's like, you know, as a Christian, how are you going to handle a transgender student? Or how are we always want to make sure is that I'm not going to compromise on my conviction, but at the same time, I am going to do everything I can to humanize that child and treat them fairly, to give them equal opportunity, to provide the resources to themselves and that family, which is why parental notification policies are actually so important, so we can involve parents in those discussions. Because as a school, right, this is a government entity, we cannot police everything in and out. What we can do, though, is we can have better communication with parents, to have them more involved in these conversations, so that way they are able to steer those children in the right directions. We can't just get rid of it. And so we're going to have to work through parental notification to ensure that more communication.
Yeah, well, nowadays, yes, because
Well, like, I will say this too, ma'am, is we've had schools around us, districts, and we've held strong against this. In fact, there's 2 board members right now, Carrie Buck and Marilyn Anderson, who want community schools to come in. And what a community school is, it sounds like it's a community, but it's not. Because what it is it's basically you have clinics on your middle school and high school campuses. And that is when the age of consent is lowered to 12. And that is when the kids can go get the birth control pills or all these things because they have access right there on their school grounds. And so we have been, myself and Todd and Sean, have been fighting against that because we don't believe that any medical procedures or people should be able to obtain any type of medical anything while they're at school without a parent knowing
Yeah.
about it. Can you imagine if your daughter goes to school and gets a vaccine or something simple, but you don't know, the school doesn't know that she may be allergic to this vaccine, and you come home and your daughter's sick and you have no idea
Yeah.
what the actual reason for. So Newport Mesa right now, their school district, they are all on board for this community schools. I'm like, it's coming. And Planned Parenthood and Chalk, I think it was in St. Jude. Is it St. Jude and Chalk, or is it just St. Jude?
I don't know.
It's one of those two. But Planned Parenthood is, funding a lot of this stuff,
I
and
don't think
they
it's
want to
St.
come into
Jude.
our schools.
Mhm.
And so that's one thing that is very important in this is they are infiltrating school districts. And so we have to stay strong and say no clinics and nothing like that on our campuses.
So then we need to get the parents involved. They need to speak up. And the
Yes.
thing is, a lot of the parents are Spanish speaking or another language.
Yes.
They don't know what on earth is going on. In
And
the
that's
school.
what's very good about Maria Lapita Stubbs running over in the Placentia area. She is fluent in Spanish and she
Mhm.
can speak, and she gets a lot of questions from a lot of parents.
So
Who
then,
only speak her language. And now let me move on because we have another
Yeah.
question.
So in this day and age, most parents, both parents work.
Yes.
Last year, we tried to get our daughter into after school care. Couldn't do it.
Too full?
Too full.
Yeah.
Summer camps, too
Too
full.
full.
So I have to take my daughter to work with me every day after school. And then during summer, I take her all the way out to Corona to go to a Christian summer camp out
Right.
there. What are you guys doing about
The camps? Well,
just anything?
Yeah, so we've expanded, so it wasn't mandated by the state because we have 5 paid preschools. And so the TK stuff was mandated by the state, but we did the preschools because we understand that that's what the community wanted. They're going elsewhere to the preschools. And then sometimes, you go to a different school and then you tend to go that direction. And so we would like everybody to come and start with preschool if they can. But then now that you bring this stuff up to us, we had heard about everybody trying to get in to the summer camps and how full that they were getting so fast.
Well, the worst thing is that the after school care was only open to people who were registered last year. So
Wow.
if you were new to the area, you weren't
You
getting
couldn't
in
get in.
at all.
Okay. Well, I can bring that back as something that we need to work on for this next summer, for sure. Because they may not even know, what the extent was that just was filling up and, obviously the parents need to utilize it. But if we have to do it in more school sites or, even partner with some other programs, maybe, so we maybe need to start looking outside box thinking. So, we should be taking advantage of community partnerships. And I think that's one thing that we've been doing, we've looked at an equestrian program and everybody, of course, the little voice said, oh, how would you do this? It's so expensive and this and that. But they don't understand that the reason that equestrian program was even talked about was because community members came to us and says, we'd love to help you guys do this, free for the students so they can get involved in equestrian. So we should be, reaching out. It might not be free, the childcare, but if we can partner with people in the community who maybe, there are some people who have space,
Well,
and so maybe that's something that we need to start looking into.
and so we did that. We looked at Boys and Girls Club,
Mhm.
other things. They're outrageously expensive.
Yes,
If
yeah.
you're not in the school district,
Yeah.
hard thing, and you're going outside,
It's
most parents can't afford
insane.
it.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering too. Okay, so I'll bring it, and it's obviously being recorded. So
Yeah,
it's live.
I'll ask this question. I'll ask this question today, Sunday. I'll ask it tomorrow morning. And I'll email our student services person, and also our superintendent, and ask what we can do to expand, the summer and the after school program. A lot of it too is that you have to have people. Obviously, people become teachers. They like to work in school districts to have their summers free. So it could also be the fact that we would have to find staff, or maybe we have to find, outside staff to come in now if we can't find, the existing staff to cover this. So, but I'm glad you brought it to my attention. I just heard it was full. It fills up really fast. I hadn't heard to the extent of what you guys were dealing with.
Even for new students.
Yeah.
Really,
And the community programs that you're talking about are great, but
they're
they
expensive.
don't go all day.
Yeah,
We are in an affluent area, we get that,
Uh-huh.
and we're both working,
right.
and we
You're
want
both working to
a
live
place-
in that affluent area.
Right, and
Yes.
we want a place that's safe for our kids to go, that are helping to nurture good behaviors and, sports, athletic programs for younger kids, not just middle school, high school.
Yeah.
We need to start grooming them now while they're little, and there's not a lot.
Well, Ryan did tell me that if he wins, he is going to open up a daycare for all.
I'm out of that space. Nice. No, but
But it was probably a problem then too.
I'm sure it was. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's always been a problem.
I remember having that challenge, way back when, and I think it's an issue of resources all the time, both financially, but then also staff, becomes, such a significant problem. But what I've appreciated is when she said this earlier, it's like we have to start somewhere. And I think that could be part of the challenge is it's always just kind of been a challenge. And, for Leander to say, well, let's just ask and see what can happen, maybe the first step. The problem is it's unlikely to be solved in a short period of time, but it's something that the next generation could benefit from.
But we're not afraid to, if you think about it, we are not afraid to move quickly because we opened 2 programs up in like 6 months. So if we can get an idea going, we may be able to make it happen.
When we build a whole bunch of tract homes, what do we have to do to get those homes in? Widen roads, make more grocery stores.
Yeah.
You guys, the school district made our summers longer, school days shorter, more days off, more early days than when I was in school. Our kids go to school less now than they did back when I was in school, and I haven't been out not that long. Seems like. But yet, you guys did that all happen, but there was nothing to help the parents. When you shorten the school district, you guys don't increase anything for the kids. Does that make sense?
It does. And we haven't messed with,
I'm-
since I've been on the board, the schedule hasn't been messed with. The only thing that we've done is we have, in high school, people wanted to mess with the calendar. It was like, we were very split. People wanted to go, back to school earlier in the summertime. And then some people wanted to keep it like it was. And so the only thing that we did is we kind of said, okay, like we're going to end the high school, the first quarter, the first semester before we go to Christmas break. That's the only conversations we've had about like the school and stuff, and a lot of stuff that too is coming down, like this late start for high school. That's nothing we did. It was the state. The state mandates a lot of this stuff, and we have to follow what the state does. Like, did our kids want to go to start school at like 8:30? The high school kids, 8:30? No. But Gavin Newsom said these kids need to start later. So he says it, so we all have to do it, and we don't have a choice in the matter. So a lot of the stuff too is out of our control, when they make us do things like that. I mean, when he said that, we had to like change the times for everybody. Because to make middle school and high school start later, we had to like move elementary because you have all these, elementary, high school, and middle schools that are around each other, and just the traffic alone. So we had to like figure out traffic, figure out all this stuff because of what they're saying at the state, because sometimes we don't have the local control to make that decision. So a lot of it is, things that are out of our control.
The other challenge too is in a school, in a district, there's not a surplus of revenue. And so every decision moves dollars from one side to the other, no matter what happens. And so let's just say to add one day is $1 million decision in a school, in a district of our size. And so that's the other thing that has to be considered is as we think about extra hours or an extra class or an extra teacher, typically speaking, there's not a lot of wiggle room in a budget, to make that, unless it's something that can be planned for ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about students leaving, the reason why we left the school district and we went to private school is because of the daycare, the after school care.
Yeah.
There was other things involved in it too, COVID and the whole thing.
Of course.
We ended up coming back here, but
That and Common Core.
Common Core was also the number one thing. And now we're back to Common Core again. I'm dying trying to help my kid.
You're counting sticks and stones and.
It's really hard, but
Yeah.
I hear during your guys' speech, I heard so much about sports in this sports thing that you guys are doing, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't care about sports.
Mhm.
I care about my kids being either in school or in an after-school program and not home alone, or out with their friends. Not that my daughter, she's only in 4th grade, but how many kids are out there causing trouble or getting into trouble or learning things that they should be learning when they could be in somewhere that they should be.
Safe.
When I was in school, I went to all these schools. I went to Sunset Lane, Park Junior High, and Sunny Hills. Okay. I got out at 3:30. Started at I think 7:30. It's we had full days of school, and now my daughter's getting out at 2:15. Every Wednesday is an early day, getting out at 1 something. Multiple holidays, all these teacher conference days, and I'm just like, the time I have to take off of work, I might as well not even work anymore. It's really, really
How
bad.
old are your kids?
I have a 19-year-old and a 9-year-old.
And one thing too, so we didn't set the questions up, so, that
I know.
was kind of, the tone of the questions that was asked. I think that, on the education side, again, coming back to that, that's where the majority of the emphasis has been, and
Oh, I see it all in the BuzzFeed.
but that's been overlooked because of these two buzzy, discussions around OCSES and, USI. But if you look to, again, it doesn't solve your problem around extended hours, but when you look to overall quality of education, I graduated in 1996. I went through the GATE program. I went through the IB and the Troy Tech program is where I graduated. Like, we were on a really good track for a long time. And then we started to see actually a significant decline in test scores in this district, and had been going this way for a long time. And to see the turn that we have had in the last 18 months is insane. It's literally insane to see that you could turn that quickly, and yet that's been completely overlooked because of these two small issues that have been made very
It's
loud.
also been completely challenged. Every element
Yeah,
of law program has been challenged with no real backing. Granted, the best example I think is that 3.2 million on the Universal Sports Institute. There's no evidence for that.
Yeah.
There's signs.
well, I think what
Audit the district. It's
The
amazing.
district is audited, just so you guys know,
Yeah.
the district's audited every year. And we're fine, we're passing the audits, and so when they say audit the district, it's like, well, what do you wanna do, audit it twice? Because it's already done, it's state law. The district gets audited every year, so what they're trying to make it appear that we're not doing the audits, we're hiding things, it's complete hogwash.
And they accuse Chernus of being simultaneously corrupt and incompetent.
Yeah.
That's an odd combination.
I think one thing too that I want to make sure that we try to continue to strive for as well is, again, back to the performance in education. The mass majority of the teachers in this district are working incredibly hard to pour into our kids and do a phenomenal job. And they have been sidelined in the same way our first responders have been sidelined by saying every police officer is corrupt, yada, yada, yada. We need to get back to recognizing that most of our teachers, our principals, our vice principals, they are in the trenches and they are working so hard to provide an incredible education for our kids. And it's gotten lost over, we all get in it, right? We get into these like, oh, that's the buzz conversation to have, no pun intended. So, let's yell and scream about it. It's like, well, wait a minute. We're overlooking the fact that how many thousands of people work? 16,000? Is that the
5,000 last
Oh,
year.
5,000.
I think it was like another 1,000 right now. But I think too, as you talk about buzz conversations, they talked about us like the quality of lunches. Like, when has a school lunch ever been good? Like, they sucked when I was in school. They suck now, apparently.
I like mine.
But I did like when talk about it.
Yeah,
I still
me
like
too.
it. But I think too, when they started, like, I think the conversation was that I was watching was that they were pulling money. They go, oh, well, the school lunches, they're terrible. But then, like, we're pulling money back. We're not spending as much. So then, like, when you have those issues come, like, so what happens when we pull back to give, like, more of the after school care? You get what I'm saying? It's like, we're never going to be able to do anything right to please everybody if we start to, like, put more money or more time or more staff here. It's going to be, well, why are you, doing it to this group of people? It's going to be the same thing as USI, but we're just going to have to do what's good for the parents in the community. If there is a need there and you guys need it, we need to address it. And we're going to, we'll probably take a hit for, catering to the kids who need after school programs and summer programs. But you know what? It's just what happens. You make the decisions. You guys put us in place to make the decisions. And so if these are decisions that need to be made, we need to hear it, as a community. But, this district charter and the USI, it was all about enrollment and keeping the kids and giving them opportunities, because we kept hearing there is no opportunity here. because we're losing the sports academies are like exploding. And then also to the charter schools and the, parents coming out against Common Core, that was exploding as well. So those were the two significant things that we can say. If we can raise enrollment, it gives the district more money. And then we have the more opportunity to address issues like that, like what you're talking about. Because we need more staff, we need more money, whatever it is.
So that's why we need to vote,
Yes.
number one, because we might vote for president and whatever, but we don't vote over here
Yeah.
the other 2 years. How about recruiting parents volunteering for some of the jobs, like in the kitchen or, other things that you don't need a certificate of a teaching degree or something?
Yeah, I mean, we do it for library volunteers, but obviously the librarian's still in there, but that helps. And so, yeah, that is a good point. We may have some parents who like to be in the kitchen and maybe they can help at the new Valencia kitchen when it's built.
Cook better.
Yes.
Well, I wanna share my experience. I'm very thankful for the Sport Institute. My son did track and basketball, and it's a really blessing that he can go on Wednesday, but he starts with late,
Uh-huh.
and he goes for free to the best. Before I came to the meeting, I asked my son, "Do you have any message for the board?" And he said, "Yes, tell them thank you very much." Because it's amazing, and sports actually is not just it's mentally for mental health is amazing, and they need to be busy, and this program is outstanding. I talk to people from other school districts and they are very jealous of my son also is in high school and is doing the business program. He might change to the law program that many other school districts doesn't have. So thank you very much.
I'm glad to hear that.
I just wanted to ask a question, and I love what you're talking about. A lot of this can just falls under parenting, right? So we can't shelter them all the way, but I'm getting ready to send my high school kid for the first time to public school. They've been in Christian school their whole lives. So obviously I'm very nervous.
Yes.
And so what is the best way? I've looked into the website. I know that there's Parent University, I think, and obviously the board meetings. But what is another way that you can be on the know? Because as teenagers, sometimes they shut down, sometimes you can get, a conversation, sometimes you can't. And so it kind of concerns me. I hear things of what's going on in Colorado, what's going on over here, and all those things are, some of them are not nice things to expose my young daughter to.
Right.
So what are the best ways to get involved or be in the know of what poultry is going on each campus?
So I think a lot of it is, trying to find like your kids when they find their friends, become friends with those parents. So you guys always kind of like, are in the know with the other parents and stuff. Like usually like if our son goes somewhere or wherever it is, we usually know the parents and where they are and will there be drugs and alcohol there and what will, are the parents going to be home and all of the things that go through our minds. As far as Parent University, I don't know if that will give you like what you're looking for, but I think it's more we need that sense of community. And I think too, like maybe like what your suggestion is that we have like a 9th grade, community that you guys are able to talk to, maybe it's on the school website. You guys are able to talk to and like, see what the issues are or what the opportunities are. You'll have the 8th grade orientations and things, to, try to get connected to the school. But the issues that you're talking about, that's like detective work. So, I would just say that try to form a community.
Involved in things.
Yes, maybe Life 360.
The after school programs.
Yeah, I mean, that's been for us. It's definitely involvement with other parents. I think that's been super huge. Sports, really, really big. I think that's just incredible.
Let's do the arts and then,
Yeah.
band and music and things like that. There's a lot of after school, like I think too, like a student from Yorba High School emailed me the other day and she was like, oh my gosh, you're taking away the debate team or the debate class. But we weren't really taking it away. It's just every other high school has it as a club. And so like they meet at lunch or after school. So there's a lot of clubs too. It's not, because sometimes kids, they're not into sports. But like finding that club, finding something that is there for them, where they can find their place with their people. I would say that's one thing that everybody should be looking into. And like, be nosy as all heck, you know?
Yeah.
Be that mom. So I kind of have been that mom myself, so.
The last thing too, I will say to that is, see something, say something, hear something, say something. So do not be afraid to pick up the phone and call the school anytime you hear anything that makes you uncomfortable. Whether that is hearsay, you just never know. That's one of the challenges that we have had as parents, throughout the years, is when you have two parents speaking about something that 200 kids were exposed to, whatever that could be, that doesn't have the same power if 50 parents all called on the same issue. So I would say, have that conversation, get to know the principal of the school, make sure they know you. Those things are also very, very helpful.
Any other questions? So I'm walking away definitely looking at the after-school program for sure. And then gonna find a group of detectives for you to join.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. You guys are wonderful.
Thank you.
All right.